So to make a long story short, I end up going back to Los Angeles. I'm staying with my grandma, and I want to talk to my mom and dad. And I'm my grandpa wouldn't let me stay with him. My grandpa was upset with me. First off, he realized that I wanted to study more with him, but he stopped studying with me. I told him that, I was upset about, he wanted to make me independent. I didn't, his metapsychiatry stuff. I was more communist. And anyways, long story short, I ended up going to my grandma's place, and I'm telling my grandma, I want to talk to mom and dad. I want to talk to them and see them, and I want to explain to them about the shoot away. I haven't seen them since high school, really. And this was I had graduated college. I graduated from UCSD. I had 3.1 GPA. So it'd been like 5 years. I'd only seen them like 2 or 3 times. I want to talk to them. I want to explain to my dad about the shoot away machine, because I know that he's not talking to me because my mom says, he's embarrassed. He has a schizophrenic son, and don't you remember? Yeah, my mom's like, don't you remember how you treated him in high school? That's what happened. I told my mom I want to talk to dad. And he's like, don't you remember how you were in high school? Your dad hates you. He wants nothing to do with you. Don't you remember how you treated him? And I was like, Mom, the reason why all that happened was because of the shoot away machine. And my mom's like, no, it was. Oh my God, the shoot away. You don't take responsibility for anything. Oh my God. And it's the same thing that my grandpa, my mom would try to mimic my grandpa and imitate my grandpa. But my grandpa would say, I cast pearls of swine. So she would be like, taking responsibility is important. You don't take responsibility for anything. You blame everybody but yourself. Oh my God, you think it was a shoot away? The shoot away would have helped you. Yes, it was a shoot away. If it wasn't for the shoot away, none of this bad stuff would have happened. I was doing great. I would have done great with basketball. I would have done great with everything. There would have been no fights with me and my dad. The fights happened because we were trying to fix my shot. But my grandpa comes, I tell my grandpa's like, no, I want to blame you. I want to make you the bad guy. It wasn't because of this shoot away. It was because your dad, you're frustrated because you're playing as bigger, better players. Again, make me the bad guy. So that's why I started to hate my grandpa. And I'm like, dude, this guy made me crazy. He made me crazy. So I'm trying to talk to my mom. I'm like, Mom, can I please talk to dad? And she's like, he doesn't want anything to do with you. Don't you remember how you treated him? And that's why I brought the shoot away. I'm like, no, Mom, it wasn't me. It was the shoot away. If it wasn't for the shoot away, that stuff would not have happened. She's like, oh my God, you're hilarious. Oh my God, you're so ridiculous. Yes, it was the shoot away. And I wanted to get basketball videos when I was younger. I wanted to study swag flow, and I wanted to fix my shot and all that stuff. And like I said, at that time, I was still shooting wrong. My dad told, the shoot away made me shoot. My dad, made me shoot with my left foot in front of my right. Then my dad tried to fix it, told me to do the exact wrong thing. And I still hadn't figured it out yet. But I didn't figure out the shoot away messed up my shot by looking at the videos. I saw that was what made me shoot my left foot in front of my right. But I was still shooting my left foot pointed forward and my right foot pointed to the side, because that's what my dad told me to do after the shoot away, when he'd have me picking the ball off the rack and doing form shots. And then that's what messed up my shot, and then so, but I want to explain to my dad the details about how good shooters shoot and all that stuff. But I don't want to, because I can't sell you guys, because I don't want to make good shooters think. But so I'm trying to talk to my mom, I'm trying to talk to my dad, but they won't let me. And my mom, and so I told my grandma, can you please get a psychologist or something, so that the psychologist can mediate between me, mom, and dad, and I can, we could talk and we can make up and we can move on. But my grandma's like, okay. But then my grandma comes to me the next day and she's like, Ryan, your mom told me that she's not going to see a psychiatrist with you, but she will, a psychologist with you, but she will send you to a psychiatrist, because she says you have schizophrenia and you're mentally ill and you need to see a psychiatrist. And I'm like, no, that's not. And so I get mad at my grandma, and then my dad comes and he kicks me out of the house and he sends me to San Diego. So then I'm staying with my aunt in San Diego, and I'm telling my aunt, can you please help me talk to my mom and dad? And my aunt's like, and I'm trying to tell her about that it wasn't me that was the problem. It was a shoot away machine. And I try to explain to her, about how I want basketball videos so I can study them and stuff. But my aunt was like, your mom told me that the reason you have schizophrenia is because you're stuck in the past. And I'm like, I'm not the one stuck in the past. They're stuck in the past. They have a false version of the past. They have a hatred of me because they think that my mom, according to my mom, I couldn't handle the pressure and I fell apart and I was so bad in high school. It was because I had problems. I was mentally ill. No, it wasn't. It was because of the shoot away. If it wasn't for the shoot away, none of that would have happened. So I'm trying to explain this to my aunt, but my aunt's like, according to your mom, the reason you have schizophrenia is because you won't let go of basketball and you won't let go of the past, and that's what your grandpa taught you, not to talk about the past. No, my grandpa even said me talking about basketball is not a big deal. My grandpa didn't want me to talk about how my dad beat me up, and he wanted me to be in the present moment and in the moment and all that. So I didn't. I never talked about that. And I never had schizophrenia. So I'm like, what the fuck? But my aunt is really crazy. My aunt is like fucked up. So my aunt's like, well, and then my uncle was like, my aunt's husband was like, well, Ryan, have you ever stopped to think that maybe it wasn't the shoot-away machine that messed up your shot, but maybe it's because you're a white guy? And I'm like, fuck, dude. Fuck you guys. So it's like, no, that's not what happened. God, it's so annoying, dude. They have no fucking idea, dude. It's so frustrating. So, no. It was the shoot away. I could show video. I can show exactly what the shoot away did to my shot. I was perfect. Even then, everything I did was automatic. Even in college, I was still automatic. I was still unconscious. I still had the swag flow and everything. It was only my sophomore year when I studied videos, I lost the swag flow. And now people will see me and they'll be like, well, this guy's a loser because I lost the swag flow. But the thing is, they don't fucking know. If it wasn't for the shoot away, if it wasn't for my mom and dad abandoning me, all this stuff would not have happened. But I want to move on. So I'm trying to say, can I talk to mom and dad, and can we, can I talk to them and can we move on? But my, then I'm stuck in San Diego, and then my aunt is like, it's just so fucking frustrated. And then, as I said, my aunt was being a bitch to me. She's trying to get me, my mom's trying to get my aunt to send me to a psych ward. Finally, it's a long story, but I wanted to go to my grandma's house to get the basketball videos because I had some basketball videos at my grandma's house and I wanted to put them online. They wouldn't let me go. There was an argument, a fight. I pulled the key out of my aunt's car. It's a long story. She called me a loser. I pulled the key out. Then she called the police. The police came, and then my aunt's like, my nephew has schizophrenia. So the police were like, okay, we'll send him to a psych ward. But I never had schizophrenia. I'd never been diagnosed with schizophrenia. So they sent me to the psych ward. I'm in the observation room. Then they put me in the psych ward. And then I talked to the psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist said, you don't have schizophrenia. That's what he said. He said, I don't. That's what he said. He said, I don't have schizophrenia. So I'm like, good. That's good. So but he kept me in the psych ward, and he was like, well, he wants to examine me for a week because he said, it's possible you have bipolar. He doesn't know, but he has to study me for a week. He studied me for a week. You know what he said after the whole week? He said, Ryan has no mental illness. Ryan, according to a doctor. So I call my mom, and my mom says, oh my God, you tricked the doctor. You lied, you motherfucker. I fucking hate you. And I'm trying to tell her, Mom, I don't have schizophrenia. The doctor said I don't have it. And my mom's saying, she's like, oh, you fucking lied to the doctor. Tell him about the quadrilateral. And I told her, I talked to the nurses there. The nurses said, the doctor let me out. The nurses said, and I can go into way more details about all this, but the nurses said, you can't trick a doctor. If the doctor says you don't have schizophrenia or any mental illness, you don't have it. My mom still to this day thinks I'm mentally ill. So the doctor said I don't have a mental illness. So, but my mom's screaming at me, oh, you have to go back to the psych ward and you have to tell them the truth about the quadrilateral and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, no, Mom, you don't get it. If a doctor says you don't have a mental illness, you don't. And I remember I was trying to talk to her. I was being super calm. And my mom would start screaming at me. And my mom's thing is like, oh, what she would like to say is, oh, the reason I don't talk to him is because he yells at me. But I cannot even speak to her she's screaming at me. She's screaming at me. Every time I try to talk, she screams at me, you're a fucking loser. You're a piece of shit. I can't even speak. That's the only reason why I have to yell when I'm talking to her. And I'm trying to tell her, Mom, can you please help me? Because at this time I'm homeless and I needed a place to stay. You know what I mean? So I was homeless. I needed a place to stay. And I'm like, can we move on? But my mom is just, my mom will not, she's believed I had schizophrenia. She believed that I tricked the doctor. So then I go back to Los Angeles. I'm staying with my grandpa, and I'm going to get to this later, but I tried to tell my grandpa, I was like, Grandpa, can you please help me to maybe go get a master's degree? And my grandpa says, well, then go to Jamba Juice and get a job and, make some money, and then you can pay for a master's degree. And I'm like, listen, my parents are taking care of my sister. They're paying for my sister's school. So they're doing all this stuff. Can we just talk to my mom and dad and they can help out? But they have to see I don't have a mental illness, and I want to explain to my dad about the shoot away, but they have a hatred for me. And then my grandpa's like, well, you see, you have to be independent. You see, this is why you have to be independent. So my mom's like, yeah, make him independent, So I'm like, basically, but that's code word for just throw that aside. But my grandpa would be like, that's not what I taught. I'd cast pearls of swine. So I'm trying to talk to my grandpa to get some help in this situation, but my grandpa won't help me. And so my grandpa and I get in an argument. He kicks me out of the house. It's a long story. So then I'm walking the streets with my basketball videos, the basketball videos that I finally got from my grandma's house, and I'm, protecting them with my life. And I finally I get a taxi cab, even though I didn't have money. This guy let me fucking drive the Granada Hills to my grandma's place, and I'm staying with my grandma. And then my mom and dad come, and this is like I said, my mom and dad have only seen me about 4 times since high school, only 4 times. And this is, and this time again, my mom and dad, my dad comes in the house and he tries to grab me, and I have to run out of the house. My dad's chasing me up a hill. I run down the hill. And it's a long story. I don't need to get into all this again. I already talked about this before. In the first time I talked about all this stuff, I already gave all these lectures before. But my point is, I'm trying to talk to my mom and dad. I'm trying to explain to them I don't have a mental illness and stuff. But anyways, my mom and dad end up telling me, we will not. This is. I'm cutting through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I'm missing now because I don't want to go through the whole story again. But my mom and dad say, okay, we'll give you a place to stay if you talk to a doctor and you take medicine. And because you're mentally ill, you have schizophrenia, So, and like I said, the other thing was I started talking on Facebook, and I started explaining to everybody what happened, how my mom and dad beat me up in high school and all that stuff. And then my mom was like, I hate you. Why don't you just kill yourself? I want you to just kill yourself, and doing all that stuff. And I'm like, listen, Mom, I just want some help. Can you guys just help me? And can I talk? And she's like, no, you're schizophrenic. You need to see a doctor. Once you see a doctor, then we'll give you a place to stay. Maybe we'll give you a place to stay if you see a doctor and you start taking medicine. And I'm like, so I'll get to what happened next in the story.